Hey guys, it's Jackie from Homeschool Hangout by Nerd Family, and today we are talking curriculum suggestions for early elementary school students in your homeschool. If you like these kind of curriculum videos, do me a favor, give this a thumbs up, subscribe, the little bell, and you'll know when I'm online. And find me and Nerd Family and Nerd Mom over on Twitter, Nerd Family over on Facebook. You can find all the things. Hold on. Before I get into it, I'm having black oolong coconut iced tea. Yeah, stash, it's my favorite. Okay, so we're going to get into it, but first let me start with my basic philosophy when it comes to educating little ones. And when I say little ones, I'm looking anywhere from 4 to second grade maybe. It really depends on how your students progress. There is no pressure. They say delaying academics actually sometimes is much better for the students. So this is a no pressure. Here's some suggestions. Some of these things I've done, some of these things I haven't exactly done, and I'll let you know as we go through. But I believe personally, when my kids were this age, which for the record, I've got one in the Army, a senior, a sophomore, and an 8th grader. But when mine were little, I do remember that far. My goals have always been to get you reading and get you doing some basic math. That's it. I like history. I like literature. All those things to me are tools to get you doing math and doing reading, because those to me are the foundations of education. So in that, let's start super cheap and easy. And yes, if you're writing a lesson plan, you can write these down in lesson plans. It's okay. We're going to visit the dollar section of Target, Walmart, or the dollar store. And we're going to pick up some of these great little workbooks if you want. This is super easy. It's really great, I found, for pre-K and kindergarten. It's also really great for kids who you want to keep busy while you're schooling older children. And these are just some of their dollar workbooks. And the things I like about these is, 1, I like cheap. Yay, cheap. 2, I like the fact they're so thin. And the reason I say that is it gives them a real good sense of accomplishment. I finished a book. In my house, there's always some sort of reward when you finish a book, because you wouldn't work in communist Russia. If you weren't getting a paycheck, why would you have a job now? Why would your husband have a job now? No. A little reward goes a long way. Some of it is knowledge, but some of it is, getting to play a board game with mom, or a candy bar, or, for us, the end of the year, we always did, and we still, and when I say always, I mean like, we didn't in COVID, but we always do this of, we either go see a movie as a family, because that's usually at the end of the year when the Marvel movie comes out, and we're big geeks. It's the Nerd Family, clue. Or we go to the Nickel Arcade. And so that's like our big things for big books. And the bigger the book, for me, the bigger the reward as they get older, because I reward effort more than I reward accomplishment. So some of this is a pre-K and kindergarten book, and it's same or different. And this is the Target, I think, A+ line. This book was not done. I bought, it was started. Color the things that are the same. Yes, the children behind the camera are pointing at who did which book. I also really like these kinds of alphabet and numbers books, because I had children, we're the Nerd Family, every child's different. My oldest child read in 1st grade. Then each kid got progressively younger too. My youngest was reading in like 3.5, 4. But their coordination still stunk to high heaven. All of them. My 15-year-old is pointing at the 13-year-old. Oh no, you should read his writing now. So I like these books because I don't find them highly conceptual in letters. I mean, P for pig, yeah, okay, P for pig, got it. But it gives them a lot of experience in writing. But the other thing you cannot underestimate is the importance of coloring and circling and writing shapes, because all of those things increase their dexterity in their hand. Now, if your child doesn't have that dexterity, don't be overcritical. Don't start this off with a lot of criticism, because you don't want them to feel beat down. And I say this, I had a child, my oldest child, who I love deeply. He was ornery. No, he is ornery. He's an ornery child. I don't know where he got it. I'm blaming his father. But And when he turned 3, I thought, I'm wasting his genius. And I say that because I married way up in the intellect. So I was banking on some decently smart kids when you're married to a genius. And so it's like, we're going to sit down and we're going to do school. I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I must have been smoking something I didn't know about because I thought this was a great idea. And I'm like, you're going to hold the pencil and you're going to trace this line and we're going to write letters. And he just, and he was mad. And I realized that that dynamic did more damage to our relationship than it did educate him. So I found some non-writing ways to work on education that he enjoyed. I'm very big into the Montessori model for younger kids. That's another video, but it's kind of surrounding them by learning activities. But even with Mr. Obstinate, he liked these workbooks because they were no stress. And he really started doing them about 4 or 5 years old. And then the baby, when she wanted to come do school with us, we handed her one, usually the ones that were a little bit more like the chick, duck, same or different, or fill in the circle. Those are all great concepts that kids need to know, and it keeps them busy while you're doing school. I can include a link up here somewhere maybe of a video I've done on how to homeschool older children with little kids around. I did that frequently. All my kids are within 6 years. So some of these books even get into older. This one is phonics and reading, and it's aimed at grade 1. And these are great little books. I think this might be the dollar store, but Walmart has them, especially in the back to school season. They don't necessarily carry them all year. So you are going to want to stock up a little bit. The dollar store always has something like this, but the ones at Target and Walmart tend to disappear. So I really recommend, if you want them, stocking up on them. We enjoyed them. It's really no stress. You also don't worry that they're messing up some expensive curriculum book that you bought and scribbling on it. You're giving them a $1 book. So even if they're not super ready for it, they feel grown up and like they're in school. Also pay attention to things like this that you can get. And this is a Learn to Letter pad. These are great. And sometimes you can get different ones. This one's been partially used. It has all the letters up here, but it has the big primary lining. You can also get primary paper at any teacher supply place you might get, and you can get the big primary lining. I will just warn you, the nice thing about these is you can erase. That primary lining paper, I don't know if you remember it from when you were in school, but if you held it up to the light, you could see through it. When you erase on that, it can be a bit horrible. Yeah. So as long as you tell them no erasing, you're fine on it, but you can get an entire ring for like $3. So it's pretty good to get just to have. But I like picking up these kinds of pads too. And I keep these on hand, we have other children in our life, so they'll probably end up using some of that. So definitely visit your dollar store. I don't have the other workbooks here, but even as the kids got older, you could pick up a workbook. We did workbooks that were all about the presidents. So even though they had moved on in their curriculum and were using more advanced math and science and reading, they still would have these fun workbooks every once in a while that were like science experiments or the presidents or the planets, and they loved them. Now, I will say, let's see, I think the Shapes one still has them. One of these does. They have the stickers in them. So I'm the mean mom. You got the stickers when you were done, and then you could do whatever you wanted with them. So now, if you wanted to step it up just a smidge, you can pick some of my favorite curriculums. And we're going to start with reading because we covered the fact that reading is important. And we're going to go with Explode the Code. The nice thing about these are still, I'd say, less than $10 a piece. I found them very useful in teaching children to read. My older 2 children were the only ones who did this. And we started very, very young with my oldest child. I think this is his book because, of course, I was only doing them with one kid, so I didn't think to put their name in them. So some of them I'm guessing. And so it goes through, and there are 3 books called Get Ready. I only have 2 of them here. Get Set and Go for the Code. And these are their pre-reading books. So this is definitely aimed at kindergarten, preschool area. And it's very simple. It's a lot of tracing. It's a lot of listen for the following directions. Those directions? Listen. Oh, sorry. Listen, then follow the directions. And you want to, find the things that start with F. You know, then you've got some tracing. One of the things they have in here, let me find it. This is the A book. Okay, good. Let's see. I'm trying to remember if they did it in this book or the other one. They'd also have you color mittens and go through. And there's a definite progression. I am looking for one of the things I liked. It may not have come until the later books. Yes. One of the things I liked is they had them tracing, because that would help them later in writing their letters. So this is a basic series. Get ready, get set, go for the code. But then once they conquer those, they do have an entire reading series called Explode the Code. And this is the first grade book. Let's see. Just some simple things. I do love this setup, because you would get a picture of a pan over here. They had to pick the letters in each spot and then write the word. So it helped them learn how to go through, sound it out, but they gave them very limited choices versus saying, here's 26 letters, write the word. It was like, no, is this a B or a P? Because those are letters that children often get mixed up. Is this an A or an I? And when I say children get them mixed up, they get them mixed up both in writing and sometimes in sound. You know, for fish, they're very, now I will say some of these, it's not a fish, it's the fin, because they got a little arrow. Is it an L or an F? And they go through, and I believe we did with our oldest, we did 6 levels of Explode the Code, or we saw 6 levels. You go until you feel like your child has mastered it, in my opinion. If you want to do the whole series, do the whole series. There's nothing wrong with that. Just a second. Okay, so as they get a little more advanced in math, I love Singapore Math. And they have I think it's a 4-book kindergarten series. It may be repackaged. And we really liked that. Singapore Math used to be super affordable back in the day. I hear it's a little more expensive, but not too bad. And I like Singapore Math. It is we have extras. It was very color the objects that are the same. A lot of logic patterning. Singapore Math is based kind of on that idea of Singapore, how Singapore public schools supposedly do math education. I really like it. It's very logical and intuitive, and I personally view it as preparing them for algebra someday, because algebra is a logic game more than it is a math game. But that's a different conversation. So you can choose to start at any point in time. This kindergarten 1A, I think I found it just a little bit lower than I felt my kids were ready. I do like the fact when we start talking about algebra preparation already, we are going to count the animals and then color in the boxes, making a table. Tables and categorizing thinking is great for math. Sorry, the old math tutor is coming out in me. We also get into like patterns and things along that line. And it progresses all the way through what is considered the kindergarten math. Now, you can completely skip the kindergarten math, especially if you've done all the Dollar Tree books and stuff. You may not need that at all. And you just go straight to Math 1 for first grade. Now, this is their textbook. And then they also have a workbook, which I did not get out. And their textbooks are colorful and logical, and it's counting, and my kids did not write in the textbooks. It goes through making a subtraction stories. So this is really taking math into the real world without being truly what people find frustrating about new math. It's very logical. It's very, very process built, but they also give a little bit, to me, of the real world analysis. So we're going to start with a picture, because in real life, if you really want to know when to subtract something, you're going to start with a base of real knowledge. And we got these birds. And over here we got some more birds. There were 8 birds. 3 of them flew away. How many birds are left? It's very sad. Only 5 birds are left. But it takes that real world math and converts it into an equation. This is really important because up to this point, you may have been teaching your children a lot of math concepts. And what you need to do is get them to translate it from the words you say into numbers on the page. And I personally find that Singapore does a really great job of that. They're doing patterning for first grade, and how it was set up before. Now, like I said, they may repackage things. Everyone likes to repackage things. But how it was set up before is you had a 1A and a 1B and matching workbooks. If you need extra practice, you can go to a lot of other, you can buy extra practice books from them, but because I'm cheap, my favorite place to go was the free math worksheet site. And which meant if they were having a problem with their subtraction, I could create a worksheet. If they were learning their multiplications and they just need to work on twos, I could create a worksheet that just had twos. I loved it. I loved it so much we paid for the extra stuff, and there's pre-algebra and algebra stuff on there too. That's a whole nother thing and a whole nother video. So those are some of the things I like, but then you can also get into doing other forms of education. And this is a really great one. And this one is just an example. There's lots of different versions of this, but this is a literature-based curriculum. And so it's learning language arts through literature. This is the Blue Book. And so you learn phonics, reading, spelling, grammar, vocabulary, and higher order reasoning is what they say that you're going to get out of this curriculum. Now, I have yet to find a literature-based curriculum that covers math. So you're still going to want to consider a math book. But these kind of go through, and this one specifically really breaks it down for you. I got this second or third hand and found it just a little overwhelming. I'm a mom who's worked off and on my entire children's careers, and I found this level of involvement more than I wanted to do. So this is the book Mom would read, and it actually breaks it out. Day 1, read, and it tells you what to read to them. Read the story a second time. Make your voice go up and down, pause it. Look at a few pages, index cards, you're going to take notes, you're going to build out things. And this one's specifically focusing on words. You're also going to get, if I remember correctly, this book went through Ping, which was one of my favorite books as a little kid. And it's about a duck who doesn't feel like he fits in. And it's a great little book set in, I think, China, maybe Japan. And you'll go through that in here. And often you'll also have some like art projects that go with it. Kind of that social studies aspect almost, talking about culture. It really is a nice all-inclusive experience, but it is parent heavy, just a warning. Now, if you go, okay, I don't want to do a literature-based curriculum. I want to just do the math and the science, but I need to do some fun things. There are a variety of fun things you can do. You can get an art curriculum. You can do focused art learning. You can do science. I love science. And this is just one of the little elementary school books that I picked up off of my shelf. And this is Green Thumbs, and it's for kids. It's for young kids. Kids Activity Guide to Indoor and Outdoor Gardening. So, like, this one has a section on pests. And I'll warn you, any of these kind of science experiment books are going to be a little more parent involved. But if it's only a thing that you do, like, every so often, like, we would do stuff like this on the weekends, or we would do it one day a week instead of everything being built around it, or once a month. This like actually goes through like making a homemade bug spray and making a soap spray, and goes through and shows them how to do it. You can also get a variety of, but the original science experiments you can eat. We liked that, or Bet You Can't book. Now with like Bet You Can't books, these books, science experiments you can eat, you're going to need to possibly help your younger children read those. Those are not elementary level reading books. I also highly recommend the library. We've talked about this ad hominem probably. I love the library. And there are lots of elementary younger books you can get for all these subjects for them to just read. And I always say, if you do math in my house and you read every day, you're going to get a well-rounded education, because I would literally check out books that were regular books about math concepts that were colorful and pretty, and I can do some videos on those types of book series if you guys would like. Let me know down in the bottom. But we would do that. We would do elementary school level science books, and they would just read about dinosaurs. We would do audiobooks at the Magic Tree House when they were young elementary school, and they would learn a lot of things, and it's super entertaining. This doesn't have to be hard. I promise. None of these things are required. These are just some ideas and some things that I've liked through the years. If you have any other curriculum questions, do me a favor, let me know down in the notes. I want to start covering a little more curriculum and talking about stuff. But my fear in this always is that people are going to assume that I'm saying you have to. And none of this is a have to. It's about educating your child in the way they need. And that is it. Go have fun learning with your kids and have a great day. Bye.